My name is Doron. I'm a volunteer and supporter of Empowerment International and have been for years since Cheryl and I first encountered them in Granada about 5 or 6 years ago. We've had events here at our home in Sebastopol. We've hosted over 100 people at the local Grange Hall and done a number of events bringing people together to support Empowerment International and share with you folks what it is that we love about this organization. Of course, we're living in a pandemic that's affecting us here in the United States, up in Canada, and as well in Nicaragua. It's put amazing pressures on the staff and team at Empowerment International, and they have responded incredibly to the challenges of this particularly difficult time. And we're very proud to be able to share the program with you. I'm going to be your MC. So I will be sort of leading us from one section to another. I just wanted to give you a quick sense. We're going to be hearing from the staff. We're going to be visiting the center and meeting some of the kids and the graduates, some of whom a lot of you already know. For those of you who do not know them, you'll be very happy to meet them. And we will also have some opportunity for Q&A. So please, I mentioned this before, but for those people who are just joining the call now, please do type your questions in the Q&A. You'll see that down at the bottom. If you just click on that, you can type in a question at any time, and we will make sure we keep those handy. So when we get to the Q&A, we can pitch those questions to the kids and the staff and to Kathy, the founder of Empowerment International. And there are kids also at the center. So you'll get to meet some of them and see their smiling faces here in just a little while. So that's some of what we're going to do. Before we start, I just wanted to make a personal comment about why my wife Cheryl and I find Empowerment International to be so amazing and rewarding, and why we continue to support it and plan to do so for the rest of our lives. We've been there. We've walked the streets, we've been in the barrio, and we've seen the pride and the joy that these families have when their kids succeed in school. The pressures on those kids before Empowerment International were often pulling them out of school and onto the streets into very marginal existences. And education is the key to break the cycle of poverty. Empowerment International, as you will hear, does much more than just provide school books and backpacks and uniforms. It's a whole family, whole community approach that we have seen with our own eyes is incredibly powerful and impactful. So for a very small amount of money, like the price of a lunch, you can support a kid, and not just that kid, but the whole family as they move out of poverty and into a better and brighter future. It's very exciting. You can see Granada behind me. It's a picture I took many years ago. This is one view of the city. You're going to see some very different views of the city and really, hopefully, get a sense of what life is really like for these kids and their families. So to start the program, I'm very happy and proud to introduce the founder, a friend of ours, and really an amazing person. Kathy, what you've done is incredible. I can't say enough good words about the heart and passion that you bring to your work, and it shows through the whole staff. But I'd like you to perhaps give a little overview, talk about the origin for those folks who are new here today. And I'm going to pass it over to Kathy now to get us started. Go ahead, Kathy.
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be connecting with you guys on this new forum or new way of connecting. And what's amazing is that we're bringing Nicaragua closer to each of us. I'm also in New Mexico right now instead of Nicaragua. I'm really, as I said, I'm really excited that you're here. And we have a wonderful mix of current supporters and new people here, which makes it even more exciting. We've been built on community, as you will find out today. From the children and parents to our volunteers and supporters. I think it's one of the things that really makes us special, is that we have a whole bunch of sub-communities joining forces around this. When I moved to Central America, I was really disturbed to see all these children working on the streets, or worse yet, living on the streets and often addicted to glue. And it just came over me that I wanted to do something. And I wanted to do something that really made a difference. And when I met these two boys, Michael and Jonathan, surprisingly, this whole thing started to take on a life of its own. As I spent time with at-risk children like Michael and Jonathan, I realized that the biggest impact I could make was to help the kids get to school. Now, mind you, I was an engineer, not a social worker. So I was trying to think of what I could do with little experience. At first, it seemed like the main barrier was simply a lack of uniforms and school supplies. But over time, I realized after spending time with the kids and families that the true obstacles were not always apparent to the casual observer. Organically, more kids were added, and what was just buying school supplies quickly evolved into home visits. And every Sunday, you could find me in the barrio visiting families, and they would invite me in their home, and I'd sit down with them, and they'd show me the kids' schoolwork, and they'd tell me why a kid wasn't going to school if they weren't. And we started to talk about the problems and what they could do to overcome them. And I also recall those days in the beginning when this was so new to the kids that they would run out of their homes with their schoolwork and show me their work, their report cards. And I'm not kidding you, I used to get mobbed by these kids with so much pride and joy. And really, it was just overwhelming. And in those moments, all I could do was smile and say, "That's great, que bueno, que bueno." And that was enough at times to keep them going. And today, the foundation of our program is actually built exactly on that. It's built on these personal relationships and home visits with the parents. And it's when we get into those homes that we can actually go deeper and encourage them and teach them how to encourage their own children, even though they haven't been to school or have very little education. And these are the kind of obstacles that our team works through with these parents. I believe that our program has such a high retention rate because we encourage and believe in these kids. And when they see our team, they are known by name. Our team knows their strengths, their weaknesses. And that helps them along with the other tools to succeed. And now I'd like to introduce Leo, who is our child sponsorship coordinator, who a lot of you have already spoken to and gotten to meet online. But he's going to take a walk through the barrio with you virtually, and you'll also see some of our staff who are doing home visits every day there. Go ahead, Leo.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to see how many people are attending these webinars. This is the first we have here this year, and we are very excited to do this, to show you our work. So if you see the screen, we have Auxiliadora and Olga, home visit promoters. She's the ones that are doing this kind of job, which is very touchful when you get to the barrio. So we're gonna take you to this place, to this video. I will get some comments what the video is running. Need some audio. So you can see that we're gonna give you a tour to one of the communities we work with. It's called the Esperanza. You can see the community. It's a lot of poor people living here. The community is located north of the city, behind a textile factory. The conditions are not very favorable for them. Many of the houses are built with wood or sheets, and our team makes a visit house to house to follow up with the families and children who belong to the foundation, to know if they're in good health, to know if the kids are doing their homework, to find out what other factors are affecting the education of those children, and also how to help them. These visits are very important to help us restrain the relation between the foundation and the families. And the support that empowerment gives to this family, they really value that, because we get close to the family. So we get it too close that they feel like we became a family for them. So this is you can see the reality that we have here in the poor barrios of Granada. So
Thank you, Leo. That was a great tour. It reminds me of the time I've spent there in the barrio. And I want to just shout out to Olga and Auxiliadoria, who are on the screen right now. Nice to see you both, properly masked. It's great to have you. I've met these folks. For those of you who haven't been to Nicaragua, it really is an amazing team, and we look forward to giving you a chance to ask them some questions after a couple more of these video presentations. We're going to have a chance for some interaction, so please type your questions in the Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer them. Before we move on to meet more of the staff, we want to introduce you to some of the kids through the process here. So if you've got that first child spotlight video, Doug, these are some of the kids who are looking for sponsors. And here's Genesis. She's on the screen right now. We're going to watch a short video of her, and then she can say hello.
Mi nombre es Genesis de Los Ángeles, estoy en primer grado y tengo 7 años. Yo quiero ser cuando sea grande profesora y quiero que los niños no repiten el grado. A mí me gustan los colores rosado, el morado y el rojo. Muchas gracias por el apoyo y eso.
Qué preciosa.
Hola.
Gracias.
Hola, now Genesis is on the screen.
Gracias.
Hola, Genesis.
Hola.
¿Todo bien? Wonderful, wonderful. If you, yes, por favor. Mucho gusta, preciosa. Okay. So we're going to move on now to the next section of our program. I want to thank you all for your patience and bearing with us. Laura says she's not finding speaker view, gallery view. Can't do gallery on webinar. Can you do the speaker view, folks? People are saying they can't see the others. Okay, so let's try and solve this problem. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Genesis a question. Genesis, tenemos una pregunta para ti. ¿Cuál es su subjecto favorita en la escuela? Por favor, poner su micrófono.
Inglés.
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 English class.
Inglés.
Very good. Because, hola, Genesis. Because I now want to introduce the country director, Marcia. Marcia Miranda is going to talk to us about the family life, show us a couple more videos, and talk about the education system in Nicaragua. So I'd like to turn it over to Marcia now. Marcia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daron. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Marcia Miranda, and as Daron said, I am the country director of Empowerment International in Nicaragua. I have been part of this wonderful organization for the last year, and I thank you so much for joining us on this fantastic trip through the life of our Nicaraguan children. I hope you can feel the love and the passion we all feel for our jobs. What makes me feel so proud about Empowerment International is our direct connection with our children and their families. This connection is what facilitates the education process in our children and avoids having many of them drop off of the school before they can fulfill the highest level of education possible for them. So, for me, it's amazing to introduce you to the really first day of class in Nicaragua and explain you a little bit more about how is education, about how it's been a child who studies in Nicaragua. Well, you know, life in the barrio can be quite challenging. The first day of school, for example, is a new beginning, but also it's a huge effort. home, we are going to go to the life of Genesis. This is one of Alfonso's child.
Mi nombre es Rosa Carolina y soy la mamá de Génesis. Trabajo doméstica para otras personas, lavo, limpio, cocino y plancho. Mi salario es poco. Pues hay veces no hay nada que comer, pero hay lujos no siquiera pinol y pan, pero algo que lo pegue en el estómago. Hay veces no hay nada. Esta situación está bien dura. Pues Génesis es bien portada y es buena, estudia, gracias a Dios no me ha dejado ninguna clase. Y ella se levanta a bañarse y termina de hacer los quehaceres. Lava traste, barre, pues lo que arregla su cama y ya después ya se lista para ir al mediodía a clase, que entra a las 12:40. Cuando tuvo que no iba a clase, ella decía, yo voy a ir, pero es que no quieren que vaya, solo por guía. Le decía, no, yo voy a ir, voy a llevar mi jabón, mi alcohol y mi mascarilla. Ella es muy amante con los animalitos. Si ha habido un animalito en la calle, ella lo pepena y busca a quien dárselo o se hace cargo de él. Si ella lo mira, pues que está con hambre, corre a dejarle comida. Hace bastante que un perrito ahí quebrado las patitas por el puente. Hasta allí le iba a dejar comida a ella y agua. Y lloraba cada vez que iba. Ella quiere ser veterinaria y lo va a lograr. Quiere que lo logre porque ella mucho quiere a los animalitos. Ella los rescata y los va a dejar. Al otro lado hay como una fundación de perritos. Pues ella recogió una pareja de gatitos y ahí los va a dejar. Porque no quería que anduvieran en la calle. Yo sé que tengo fe que Power le van a apoyar a lo que ella quiere llegar.
En un futuro me gustaría estudiar veterinaria, me gustan mucho los animales. Este año estoy muy emocionada de volver a clase, de volver a ver a mis amigos. Mi materia favorita es estudios sociales.
Thank you for this beautiful video, Genesis, and her mom, who has been with us for a long time. Thank you for your moving and your heart and all the stuff that you share with us. Next, we would show you a short video about education in Nicaragua, just to frame how our children face their life and their families. Life in the barrio can be quite challenging. The first day of school, for example, is a new beginning, but also a huge effort that families have to make to send their children to school. Even though education in Nicaragua is free, there are so many challenges our students face. The uniform, school supplies, and proper footwear all must be purchased. Another example is our secondary students from Santana, who have to walk every day approximately 16 kilometers to attend school. It is such a distance from their community. Our families live in extreme poverty. No other word can describe it. And the parents need to prioritize food and basic needs over education supplies. Life can be hard, but it's harder still with limited education and opportunities. With COVID-19 relief response, we start giving food package to our families. And we found that so many of our families were surviving with the food package they were receiving during the hard time. Almost 40% of them of our parents did not finalize basic school. In 2020, Nicaragua had a rate of 70% of students dropping out of the school before they can reach the 6th grade. I'm really proud to say that after 18 years of working in our communities, this rate has changed for our students to 96%, completing all grades. Thank you to the effort and assistance of Empowerment International. People supporting the students, it's what makes the difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
Next video.
Thank you,
Vern.
Marcia. Are you going to do the tutoring program now?
Yes.
Okay. Carry on.
Well, I'm so excited to introduce this program because it's one of the most important programs for us. Our education program is a holistic approach that includes art, sports, and emotional development for our children. However, the most important part of this program is our tutoring classes. It serves our children's needs individually, and our main goal is that they can develop their learning process to succeed in their education and in their life. Ismael, our program teacher, tell us a little bit more of this.
Las tutorías contribuyen al fortalecimiento y desarrollo de habilidades en el estudiante. Le brindamos reforzamiento a nuestros beneficiarios porque queremos que su rendimiento académico sea eficiente. Aunque tenemos a veces problemas de que todos nuestros niños beneficiarios no tienen apoyo del padre familia porque tal vez el padre tiene un bajo rendimiento académico, o mejor dicho, tal vez él no fue a la escuela y no saben leer, entonces no pueden apoyarle. O a veces el padre de familia pues tiene que ir a trabajar y de esa forma no puede apoyarle a su niño. Pero más que una buena nota, que él desarrolle habilidades, tanto en la lectura, en la escritura, en lo que tiene que ver con los procesos matemáticos, resolución de problemas. En esos puntos está enfocado los reforzamientos. En los reforzamientos le brindamos una merienda escolar a los niños, es decir, le damos una merienda escolar la cual está complementada con alimentos que van a ayudar al niño a desarrollar, a crecer, porque también a veces nos encontramos con problemas de desnutrición en los niños, entonces la merienda contribuye a esa parte.
Thank you, Marcia, and thank you, Doug, for wrangling all the videos for us. Ismael is with us, and we appreciate it. Nice to see you. Mucho gusto. We're going to take a little bit of time to answer some of the questions that have been coming in. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions and ask Marcia to organize the staff to answer those questions. And Kathy, if you'd like to contribute, please just let me know through the chat. The first question I have is not a question, but it's a comment. So I want to just read this comment from Darlene. Darlene says, I want to let all the new people attending know what the benefits of sponsoring a child are. My husband and I have been sponsoring 2 kids for 7 years. We've seen them grow, and flourish. William Tolo Perry, same thing. Totally rewarding experience, he says. Darlene continues, Guadalupe is now in university and we're so proud of her and are grateful to have met her several times in person. The joy you'll get from personally helping one child and their families is huge, and the impact on them is life-changing. And that is true. And thank you, Darlene, for that completely unsolicited comment. Now, Darlene asked a question that was mentioned briefly, but Marcia, Leo, perhaps you can answer this. How many kids are in need of a sponsor right now?
111 kids. And you know, we have different ages. We have from primary school, secondary school, and actually university. But 111, Darlene, that's a goal for this year.
Okay, and so I just want to be clear. I want to say this. All those 111 kids who are in need of a sponsor are currently enrolled in the program and enjoying all the benefits of the program, just like the other kids who are already sponsored. They all get to take the tutoring. That's right. They all get the backpacks and the uniforms, the home visits, the nutrition programs. Doesn't matter if they're sponsored or not. Any kid who wants to participate gets to participate. But the sponsorship provides a direct relationship between you and the child and also provides financial stability for the organization. So it's really, really important. Hey, so we do have a couple more questions. I don't know, before you go, Marcia, Ismael, would you like to just say a few words about the tutoring program from your perspective in Espanol? Can you want to translate?
Sure.
Ok, buenas tardes. Eh, bueno, pues realmente me da gusto estar acá interactuando. Y pues este año, si bien es cierto, en la parte de la tutoría, eh, solo quiero decir algo muy breve. Vamos a trabajar los reforzamientos partiendo de la lectura. Es decir, queremos que los niños interactúen, pero con la lectura. Que la lectura sea el punto de partida para que él mejore todas aquellas debilidades que tiene. Porque encontramos muchas debilidades cuando aplicamos las pruebas.
We are going to begin working with the lecture basics. So what we found during the test we apply every year, that many of our children have basic problems with Spanish. So we are improving these lessons and making a lot of more, because we have a really challenging year.
That's great. Thank you. Gracias, Ismael. And gracias para su trabajo. Thank you for your work. I can say that the tutoring program is amazing. For those of you who get a chance to visit, when you go to the center and see the older kids, the teenagers and the college students working with the younger students, you understand the true magic of Empowerment International, that it takes a whole village, a whole community, working with the whole families. Let's meet another one of the kids now. We have another video a day in Lija's life, wonderful child. And we're just going to show a short video of her. And thank you, Doug. Go ahead.
Hola, mi nombre es Lidia, tengo 9 años. Estoy en tercero y cuando se vea tercero una doctora para ayudar a los enfermos.
Bueno, Ligia es mi hija, a pesar que ella es malcriada, rebelde, le digo que es de la familia Bravo, porque solo vive haciendo canales. Pues en sus estudios, pues gracias a Dios siempre me salió bien en clase. Su favorito de ella es matemáticas y inglés, porque ahorita en la escuela estaba en clase de inglés. Y siento que ella en eso, como si eso le apasiona más. Y su sobrino, que ella ama a su sobrino. Ella le puede pegar, pero si uno le pega, se pone bravo. Sí. La teníamos que mandar a la fundación para que le ayudaran con tarea, pero hubo un tiempo que ella no estaba pagada, no quería ir a la fundación. Ponía me la espero. Pero después con el tiempo la tuvimos que mandar de vuelta y estuve yendo. Y durante ese tiempo pues estuve asistiendo a la escuelita. Le ayudaron bastante con su tarea porque a veces había trabajos que ella no podía hacer. Y entonces ahí le ayudaban. Sí le gustaba ir a fundación.
That is another great example of one of the beautiful kids and families that all of you are helping. For those of you who are already sponsors, I see a lot of messages coming in. I share your passion for this, and I thank you for everything you've done over the years. Many of you have been sponsors for longer than I, and I appreciate that very much. Let's meet another one of the kids who needs a sponsor. Let's take just a brief 30 seconds before we go back to Kathy to meet Alvaro Ivan.
Hola, buenos días. Soy Alvarito y tengo 7 años. Soy el segundo. Deseo ser policía. Acabar mis tareas, jugar, favorito, el gallo, el perro y la lleva. Adiós.
What an adorable little boy. I'm telling you, if you go down to Granada around 2035 or 2040, don't go behaving badly because he will come after you. He's going to be a police officer. All of these kids have dreams. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge those of us who live in North America are very blessed and lucky. When we were in school, had so many resources. Our children and grandchildren have so many resources, and the kids down there don't. Think of what it would be like to go to school if the home you lived in barely had electricity, if the parents who are there to help you are struggling, a single mother with multiple kids who maybe didn't even finish school herself. And so we try to provide that network. Empowerment provides that network that we take for granted. And it's a very, very, very powerful program. I'd like to turn it back to Kathy to talk a little bit more about the beliefs and obstacles and how we've overcome them before we meet some of the success stories, some of the folks who have grown. Is that Alvarito on the camera? Es Alvarito. Hola.
Hola, hola, sí. Que sí, hola.
Hola, Alvarito.
Hi.
Hola. Hola, Alvarito.
¿Cómo estás?
De la mano, ¿sí? Bien, ¿no? Bien.
Bien.
Bien, excelente. Gracias a su mamá también. Thank you to you both. Kathy?
Thanks, Duran. So when we first handed out backpacks to our first 65 children in Granada, I'm going to be honest, it was truly far-fetched idea to think that these kids would actually become young professionals and start breaking out of the cycle of poverty. And yet that's exactly what started to happen. After years of persistence on the ground and the support from our friends and family, empowerment has been growing. And even though the obstacles are great, there are so many. But I've come to realize after many years that the main obstacle that we've been facing is breaking the barrier of the belief system that exists in the barrio and the generational poverty. It was hard for these families to truly believe that their kids could become lawyers and doctors, technicians, and pharmacists. And that's exactly what started to happen, though. As these first students started to graduate from our primary school, then secondary school, and now the university and tech school, others are seeing now that it's possible, thanks to these young pioneers and the work of everybody in empowerment. The power of working in community is huge, and this is one of the reasons that it's so powerful. What also makes a big difference is believing in these kids when nobody else does. And I can't tell you how far that believing in them can go. I've seen firsthand. And the love and the support and encouragement that our team gives these kids and the sponsors give to them, coupled with the fundamental educational tools, there's absolutely no limit where these kids could go. For example, one of them went to Russia to become an airplane mechanic. That was his dream and he did it. That's just one, I just thought of that. The next 3 videos are testimonials of just a few of the examples of our ever increasing number of students who are actually managing to break out of the generational cycle of poverty. The first one is Abigail. Abby is an incredible young lady who is super intelligent and poised, and her gratitude is immense. Within 2 weeks of graduating as a doctor of optometry, she landed a job in Granada. Abby is always there waiting or willing to help us at any time. So let's play the video of Abby.
Mi nombre es Abigail, soy licenciada en optometría médica, egresada de la Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Nicaragua. Pertenecía a Empowerment durante 9 años, en los cuales ayudaba en las tutorías, después de clase. El personal siempre ha sido como una familia para todos los estudiantes y para los padres de familia también, porque no solamente se brinda el acompañamiento en lo que es la escuela, están los diferentes programas que brinda Empowerment y eso hace de que como que uno les tenga la confianza como que si fuera alguien de la familia. Ellos fueron formando como los escalones para que nosotros fuéramos subiendo. Entonces, cada peldaño o cada esfuerzo al final vale la pena, porque hay historias de éxito. y no es una, somos muchos los que ya hemos alcanzado nuestra meta y todo eso ha sido gracias a Empowerment.
Abby, hi. Is that Abby?
Hola,
Hola,
Katy.
Abby.
Can barely
Hola.
tell with the mask. Good to see you.
Can
Do
she
you want me
maybe you could ask Abby to just say a couple of words about what she's currently doing.
Yeah, Abby, ¿quiere compartir algo con la gente sobre su vida ahora?
Bueno, primero que todo me siento muy agradecida con Empowerment por todo lo que hicieron en mi vida. Ahora soy una profesional, estoy trabajando, como vieron en el video, tengo un trabajo y todo eso gracias a todo el esfuerzo que se hace en Empowerment, al esfuerzo que ponemos cada uno de los estudiantes también por poder cumplir nuestras metas. Creo de que el trabajo que realiza Empowerment es muy importante porque nos ayuda a salir adelante. Siempre nos incitan, no solamente a, como lo decía, no solamente es el apoyo en cuanto a la educación, sino también es el acompañamiento integral que se le da a la familia. El trabajo que realizan es muy importante. Nos sentimos bendecidos, la verdad es que mi familia nos sentimos muy bendecidos por haber formado parte de esta familia, al igual, bueno, que yo. Está mi hermano también todavía formándose y esperamos de que pueda ser también una historia de éxito para Empowerment.
Kathy, would
Marcia,
you,
good luck
Marcia,
translating that.
give us a summary.
Oh,
She's really thankful about all the effort that Empowerment International has been doing with her. As you can see in the video, she is working right now, and she is actually reinforcing the fact that our programs is an integral approach. She wasn't the only one in the program. She has her brother in the program, and she said she's really thankful. At the end, to summarize all the words, the beautiful words she said, she's really thankful for all the effort that all of us and you made for her.
Gracias, Abby.
Gracias.
Okay, and hopefully we'll have a chance to have a little more questions, but I'd like to take it back to you, Kathy, to show us the story of Jocelyn.
Sure. So Jocelyn, she's a little bit different. She's actually been with Empowerment since she was just a little thing. And she considers EI to be part of her family. And she talks about in the next video about how EI has impacted her life. And she also discusses some of her family's challenges and how the organization has helped to fill those or help them through those. So Doug, go ahead.
Mi nombre es Jocelyn, tengo 21 años, estoy en cuarto año de la carrera de enfermería y materno infantil en la UNAM Managua. Tengo 14 años de pertenecer a Empowerment. Escogí la carrera de enfermería en materno infantil porque considero que soy una persona con mucha empatía. Las adversidades que han vivido mi familia, sentía como que hacía falta alguien con conocimientos de enfermería, ya sea para inyectar, para curar una herida y cosas así. Entonces desde ahí nació mi ganas de estudiar esta carrera, ¿no? Siento que soy útil para mi familia porque ya vienen y me dicen, anda por una inyección, anda a curarme. Y entonces pienso de que el por qué yo escogí esta carrera ya está dando fruto. Mis metas después de salir de la carrera es trabajar, sentirme más útil, ayudar a mi mamá, dar todo de mí a las demás personas. Pertenecer a Empowerment para mí significa mucho, porque entré a Empowerment desde que estaba chiquita y conforme van pasando los tiempos en Empowerment he aprendido mucho.
y sobre todo he aprendido a empoderarme de mí misma. Empowerment ha sido como la llave a muchas puertas que tal vez para mí estaban cerradas. Pienso de que si no tuviera el apoyo de Empowerment, todas las metas que tengo hasta hoy no las tuviera. Y sí, estaría trabajando y lo poco que ganara lo aportaría a la casa, porque considero de que, o en lo personal para mí, siempre estará primero mi familia. Y pienso de que tal vez tuviera la ganas de estudiar, pero he tenido una vida algo dura. Mi papá no vive con nosotros y casi no nos apoyan. Y mi mamá, por más que quisiera, yo sé de que ella me apoyaría. Pero a veces la vida es simplemente difícil y sé de que en un futuro no tan lejano voy a lograr todo, le voy a dar una buena vida a mi mamá porque se lo merece. Y sé de que la fundación estará muy contenta de haberme apoyado.
Thank you, Jocelyn, for the video. ¿Cómo está?
Gracias, preciosa.
Me casi lloró. She is
Yeah.
crying.
We're all crying a little.
I know, we're crying with you, Jocelyn. Estamos llorando contigo. Gracias por compartir todo su vida con personas.
Thank you for sharing all this.
Could you ask her if there's anything she'd like to say to the people right now? We have many of the sponsors and supporters. She has a chance. She would like to.
¿Quisieras compartir algo con nosotros? ¿Quisieras decirnos algo de tu experiencia?
Estando aquí en Empowerment. Hola.
Stop it.
La experiencia que he tenido en Empowerment ha sido única porque ha sido un gran apoyo, en especial para mí y para mi familia.
My experience with Empowerment has been unique, especially for me and my family.
Sí, estaré siempre agradecida con Empowerment porque gracias al apoyo que ellos me brindan estoy cumpliendo mis metas.
I will be thankful for Empowerment. Because of it, I am accomplishing my goals and dreams.
Y al mismo tiempo estoy emocionada porque todo el apoyo que ellos me han dado ya va como a dar frutos porque ya casi culmino mi carrera.
And I'm really excited because with all the support I have received, I'm almost done because I'm just a step away to finish my university classes.
Fantastic. Excelente. Gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias, mi amor.
Y felicidades también.
Gracias.
Congratulations.
Gracias.
Hard work. So trabajo duro. I would like to Kathy. So Jocelyn is a great example. Abby is a great example. And the next video, Perla, is another amazing example of how this program affects whole families. Do you want to talk about that for a bit?
Yeah. And I'd also like to mention that there's students like Abby and Jocelyn. When we offer an activity, they're there. And not just students, but the next person as well. She's a little unique in the sense that when we go to the homes, we go and we drill into parents' heads. Every staff member is constantly trying to get, and everybody said the value of education, why it's important, the sacrifice now will pay later. And this took on a whole new twist for us when this amazing lady decided to go back to school herself. She's a single mother of 5 children. And back in the day when she first started doing this, she sold Raspado, which was a little cart that she pushed and it's shaved ice. And she juggled 5 children, shaved ice sales, and went back to school from her 3rd grade on. And she graduated from 6th grade, which is primary school. We were all so proud of her. And then she is a woman that doesn't stop. She decided, no, that's not enough. I'm going to finish high school. Well, this past year in December, she graduated from high school. And now we're working with her to find her next level. And this was an accidental result, one that we're all pretty excited about and pleased about. And when we talk about taking advantage of everything the program has to offer, any activity we have for parents, Perla is there. And you'll see that in this video when you see her planting, for example. When we were teaching them how to do home gardens, she was there. And you'll see how much she dug right in. And she just has a beautiful determination. Go ahead, Doug.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Perla Alexandra y tengo la edad de 35 años. Soy madre de 5 hermosos hijos y también soy parte de la Fundación Empowerment. Medio de mi hermana fue que yo llegué a la fundación. Nos han apoyado en todos los sentidos, en todos los aspectos. Y sí, como toda una niña, siempre mi sueño era estudiar. Un día yo me dije, tengo que estudiar. Hablé con la directora de la institución. Pues sí, ellos se sintieron muy orgullosos porque dijeron que era una madre que sí podía, que estaban viendo lo positivo en mí. Me dije, tengo que lograr esta meta, tengo que ser positiva y en el nombre de Jesús yo salgo de aquí. Me siento muy feliz porque fue un logro que me costó y este logro es dedicado a todos mis hijos, a mi madre que no está y primordialmente a mí porque sí me sentí segura y también me sentí fortalecida porque el Empowerment sí creyó en mí, que sí lo podía hacer.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for all the good work. Leo, I know you work with a big team, including Armando and others, to create all this video content. I just want to recognize the amazing work you've done in bringing these stories to us during this difficult pandemic time. And again, thank you all for hanging with us. We're going to take a couple more questions now. So Marcia, I'm going to pitch these back to you so that you and the team at the center can answer them. And I've had several folks ask similar kinds of questions. So I'm going to take the question from Gail, but do know several people are asking this question. How is COVID affecting your program right now? Have you and your families got the vaccine? What's the situation? What can you tell us about how COVID is affecting Nicaragua and how it's affecting empowerment?
We can break down these questions into 2 parts. About the vaccine, we haven't received the vaccine in Nicaragua. We're waiting, but for now we don't have news about this. So we for sure we will post if we have some news in our social media, but for now, no. COVID is a worldwide problem, and as you can imagine, our fundings, our sponsors, and all the people worldwide are suffering from COVID relief, COVID-19. In all the aspects, you know, economically and psychologically and everything. So, but the last year was a really tough year because we didn't know how to react in front of such a big thing. But we did it. We go through the problem. We found that our unemployment rate high so some more that we got at 80% of unemployment in our communities. So we realized we need to do something, and we did it. That's why we decided to make the COVID-19 relief response with food package a huge campaign to protect our communities and our children, and start making phone calls every single day so we can make sure our students and our families were secure. This year, we are covering all the aspects of security to begin again, because we know our children almost lost a year of education. And for educational organization like us, it's really tough to handle that. So we are starting and we're making our best to have our children again in tutoring program and our home visits again on the streets. So we are really proud to say that we suffer as everyone, but we did it with your help.
Thank you. Excellent. So the answer is yes, but we encourage you
answer
to
is
do it with a relationship, but it's not required.
Yes.
Perhaps Jesse asked a question that I think you can address. So she asked, or he or she, I'm not sure, can you sponsor a teacher from the school where the kids attend so they could buy supplies? So sponsoring the teacher instead of sponsoring the kid. How do you work with the teachers, and what kind of supplies are made available to the kids through the program?
Well, we complete all the school supplies for them, uniforms, footwear, all the kind of things that they need to go to school, to attend school, we facilitated for them. Actually, all the schools that work with us receive a package every 6 months, because a school in Nicaragua has to face a lot of needs too. So we have to help actually our school directors with school supplies and all the kind of things that they can ask us all the time.
Great.
I'd like to also mention that you can sponsor one of our teachers, because we also have to pay teachers. We have teachers like Ismael that we hire that work with our teen tutors. We're also looking at finding an English teacher this year. And we're trying to supplement, because we are so far behind academically because of COVID, we are looking for more teachers, but we need more support for those teachers. So while there's teachers in the formal schools, we have the supplementary school after school sessions.
That's great. Thank you for pointing that out. And again, to kind of emphasize that that this is a program to build on and support the existing educational infrastructure in Nicaragua. The schools are there, but all the support that the kids need to succeed in those schools is not always there. And that's what empowerment provides: the network, the mentoring, the tutoring, the backpacks and supplies, and importantly, the social support to encourage these families to keep the kids in school and celebrate their educational successes. And we saw that with Abby, and we saw it with Jocelyn, and there are dozens and dozens of stories. Let's talk a little bit more about the sponsorship program. We'll come back to some questions, so keep them coming. But I'd like to turn it back to Leo at the center to talk a little bit about the sponsorship program before we show you a couple more videos. Leo?
Hi again, everyone. So I want to talk about a little bit sponsor a child. When you sponsor a child, you give him an opportunity to change his life. Today, children to go to work early age, either selling tortillas in the street, cleaning windshields, other in the field as farmers, herding cattle, and everything is due to the economic need that the family lives every day. Because even though the school is free, there are school fees that the parent cannot afford. And that is just one of the factors. So the families in this community needs help to change the mentality of conformity that they have. And we do that through our programs. For the value of one lunch once in a month, you can provide a good education, medical attention, school reinforcement, psychological consulting, and many other activities on which the child and his family can be part and effective change in their families and social environment. The right to the education is something that cannot be taken away. Also, we offer to sponsor to get close to the sponsor child, to the child they sponsor. So became personal. When you sponsor a child, it's not just just not a number. You have a relationship with your child. Two times in a year, you will hear from your child. You will always welcome to write them too, and then really they enjoy when you write a letter for him. You create this relation for them. We are open to have this year video call and Zooming with your child if you want. Just you can send me an email if you request want to see how your child is going. So we're open also to have volunteers to have tutoring in English classes if you want. So just remember that this is an opportunity to break the cycle of these kids live every day. So that's let's try to make a change for one child at the day, and taking a sponsor a child, you can make a great difference in these communities. So thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you for that clear explanation. And I do want to just emphasize, because a couple of people have been asking these questions, a sponsorship is wonderful. Sponsorship is a relationship. Sponsorship is ongoing support, but you don't have to be a sponsor in order to support Empowerment International. There are other ways to give. Some people choose to make annual contributions or one-time contributions. And I can tell you from having been there, and all of you who have been there will reinforce this for sure, every little bit helps. This is a very small organization doing very, very big things with very limited resources. And so please feel free to dig deep if you can. We'd like to watch a couple more of the child spotlights before we hear from one of our sponsors. Rachel Yogebet is another kid who is looking for a sponsor. So Doug, if you have that video ready, let's go ahead and watch.
Me llamo Ye, tengo 5 años. Estoy en tercer nivel. Soy Ayande, quiero ser estilista, porque quiero que todas las mujeres se miren guapas. Soy ya totoía porque juego con las computadoras.
Okay, that kid may be the cutest one yet. She's fantastic, but all the kids are equally worthy. And whoever you support, know that you're supporting the whole community. Let's hear a little bit more about that by meeting one of our sponsors. He's a longtime supporter of Empowerment International. He's been helping us behind the scenes here today, but I'd like to invite him to turn on his camera and talk a little bit about the video you're about to watch. So Doug, if you want to show the video first, and then you can pop on the screen and talk about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to play the video first, and then we'll chat a little bit.
Awesome, thank you.
My name's Marianne Hopkins, and I'm from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada.
My name's Doug Hopkins, and I'm also from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada.
Eveling, we have been sponsoring since she was maybe 6 years old, and we have watched her grow up. We, this last trip, just went to her grade 6 graduation and watched her begin the next stage of her education, and it's incredible to watch. We know there's poverty in Canada as well, same with the US, but there's many more supports in Canada for people who are in trouble. And those supports aren't here in Nicaragua. Yes, the children get to go to school for free, but their uniform has to be paid for. And a family that is struggling, that's not easy for them to do. It's not easy to help your children do their homework when you cannot read or write very well yourself. And these are the things I'm most impressed about that EI is assisting with, not just the children, but the parents, explaining this is why we want to help. This is why we think it will be an advantage for your child.
Marianne and I continue and will continue to visit Nicaragua regularly, and we will continue to sponsor kids. And the fact that we've sponsored kids from a young age, and that they have actually grown up through the program and graduated, and now we're kind of on our second generation of kids that we're sponsoring, I think is pretty cool. And to be part of their lives is amazing. I can't say enough good things about the organization. We're working on a Canadian donation portal and actually getting empowerment set up as a charitable organization in Canada. So there's some things, you know, north of the 49th that we're working on to assist EI grow and continue to prosper. But for us, Nicaragua and EI are dear to our hearts, and it's one of the reasons we keep coming back.
Hello. Well, I gotta say, first of all, I'm Canadian, so I'm gonna start by saying sorry. I did not plan on being the video or technical director for this presentation, but I'm filling in and I'm doing my best. I'm not really familiar with Zoom, so I apologize for the hiccups earlier in the programming, folks. A couple things. You guys just watched our video. My wife and I have been supporting EI for almost a decade now, and it is literally an integral part of our life. But there's one thing I just want to say up front, and maybe Jaron and Leah had touched upon it earlier, is that the services that EI provides to its children, they're a flat service. So that means that children that do not have a sponsor still receive the same programming and benefits that children that are sponsored do. So there is no difference in what they receive. The sponsorship is a relationship between, you know, the padrino or the donor with that child, but all the children receive the same programming and benefits through EI. There is no differentiation between sponsored and unsponsored. So, yeah, but as I said, EI is integral to our lives. Marianne and I travel to Nicaragua 2-3 times a year. Actually, we've met Jaron and his lovely wife Cheryl a couple times there, and we've done some fun stuff together through EI. And I mentioned in the video that we're on our second generation of kids with EI, and it's absolutely mind-blowing to see them go from young kids to young adults with, you know, with careers. I've been to multiple graduations over the last 5 years, and it's mind-blowing. And we would like to give back as Canadians. We are working on a couple of dedicated programs with EI. One of them being, we are starting to offer swimming lessons to the EI kids. You know, most people in Canada learn how to swim. It's a life skill, but it's not generally taught in Nicaragua. So we have set up a program administered by the Canadian entity of EI that we are now offering swimming lessons right in Granada for the kids. And we just did our first batch of lessons last month. And I got to tell you, these kids had the time of their lives. In fact, it was one of the highlights of my 10 years with EI. Secondly, as Kathy mentioned, there's going to be a full-time English teacher at EI, and that is being spearheaded by the Canadian end of things. We will be fundraising and funding that full-time English speaker because we feel that, or that English teacher, because we feel that English is an integral job skill for somebody that wants to get ahead in Nicaragua. So we would like our students to have access to that. Thirdly, we're still doing the art classes, which you've probably seen thousands and thousands of photos on Facebook and Instagram. We will continue to sponsor that. Marianne will still be running those courses all the time. And I'd also like to mention, we would also hope to spearhead some more volunteerism brigades going down to Nicaragua once things settle down worldwide with COVID and that sort of thing, and it becomes generally safe for travel again. We would like to be a big part of facilitating that as well. I'm going to sign off on my little Zoom speech here. Zoom is new to me, but I would like to remind you all that Zoom is going to be available for you to interact with your EI-sponsored kids. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of that from Leo in the future. But from us here in Canada, we love EI, and we will continue to support it.
Thank you so much, Doug and Marianne. You guys are both amazing. I've been with you with the kids in the art classes and in the community, and it's an amazing experience. We're gonna talk a little bit about, there's some specific questions people are asking. We do have 2 more child spotlights we want you guys to see before we move to our final Q&A period before we wrap right around 4:30. So we've got a spotlight of Elias Jose and one of Daniela Fernanda. No, we're just going to watch Elias, I believe. So let's play the video of Elias, the final kid, a sweet little boy. And when Doug's ready, he's going to play that video for us. There we go.
Yo me llamo Elías Segundo. Yo tengo 4 años. Yo estoy en la escuela. Estos son unos dibujos. Un elefante y un pony. Mi color favorito es blanco. A mí me gustan las peras. Muchas gracias a todos.
Okay, and we didn't have subtitles, but for those of you that didn't understand the Spanish, he said he's 4 years old and he was holding an elephant and a pony. So very sweet little boy. He is also someone who needs a sponsor. But I just want to we've got about 10 or 15 minutes left. I really want to thank everyone for joining us here again. We do have some additional questions that I think we should talk about because some of these are really very important questions and specifically related to some of what Doug was just talking about. So from Michael in Petaluma, California, he's asking, what additional information can we have about connecting with our sponsored kids? I know Michael and his wife, Jackie, are sponsors, and they would love to get on a Zoom call with their kids. So if you could tell them exactly how to do that, or if there's a portal or an email, who's the best person to connect with, maybe drop your email in the chat, Leo, so people can connect with you directly. Please answer that question. And then once the pandemic subsides, what's the best time of year to visit? And what are good things to bring for the program? If folks want to come down, what should they know before they leave? What can they do when they get there? What can they bring with them to help the program? So if you want to talk a little bit about how they can engage via Zoom, and then also what we can look forward to when the pandemic is over as far as coming and working there. Marcia, do you want to address that, or Leo, please?
So the best way to schedule a video call with your sponsored child is send me an email. I just put it on the chat. Just get it, please, and send me an email. Give me your time you're available, and I would recommend always. We're very flexible because we know many people are busy doing their work. Just they're gonna depend on the kids. So there's some kids that are going to in the morning go to school, in the afternoon some of the older kids go to school. So also I give you the option to do it on weekend if you can't. So feel free to make a request. And the other things about to travel to the country, we are getting to the pandemic thing, so you need a COVID test to come here, and then is your own risk. It's challenging to come and to a country, the third world country, which is we don't have still the vaccine is still waiting. This is our hope to get it this year, and you can always welcome to come to the center to meet the kids, to go to weekend, welcome to come to the community and to visit your kids. But my recommendation for now is do a Zoom meeting, and just we can do it schedule. Send me an email. I just put it right there in the chat, and let's work on that.
Thank you, Leo. I just want to add that that during the times where we were visiting Granada, which we look forward to doing again after the pandemic, Cheryl and I were able to volunteer along with Doug and Marianne doing art classes for the kids. I was able to do some individual and small group English and Spanish language exchange. One of the things I did, actually, Abby, who you just met recently, Abigail and I, and Minor, who's also part of the team, took a long walk around Granada, spending half the time speaking in my really bad Spanish and half the time speaking in English. So I helped them with their English. They helped me with their Spanish. It was a walk I'll never forget. We visited the graveyard and saw some of her family members there. It was just an incredible experience. So you will have opportunities when you go to connect with your individual students. We also spend time with them just playing and eating ice cream and doing things like that. I do want to say, as far as what to bring, that whatever you bring, please bring items for the center. Bring school supplies and art supplies for everybody to share. And don't worry too much. And please, we prefer not to have you bring individual gifts and things of value for the individual children. It's very important that all the kids share in all of the benefits of the program. EI has been very, 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 very conscious and conscientious about this. And it's part of the strength of the program that whether you have a sponsor or not, you don't get extra benefits. You don't have fancy Nike shoes. You don't get your own soccer ball, but all that stuff is at the center for all the kids to enjoy. Sports supplies, art supplies, school supplies. So if you are moved to bring things with you, thank you for that question. Just please be in touch with the staff and they will let you know what you can bring to the center that would be helpful for all the kids to share. So, and I know we brought Kindles and we've brought other stuff and it's always delivered to the center. Kathy, do you have a comment on that?
I do. And thank you, because you touched on a whole bunch of things that I think are really important. Another thing that I found over the years that's really important, if there is something that you want to contribute to our program, for example, art supplies, you actually can, or school supplies, it's actually more advantageous if you go and shop in Nicaragua and buy them there and then bring them to the education center, or books. If you want to go shopping with our staff and help us buy some more school supply or school textbooks, etc. This not only does it help us, but it also helps the economy, and it leaves your suitcase lighter. So that if you want to help us bring some of the stuff that I've been collecting, we can also work that out. Like I have some computers to send, some Kindles, etc. And those are also things. So basically anything that we can get in country, better to buy it in country, and ask us, because we have some very difficult things to get as well.
Wonderful. That's a great response. So I have a question. I understand Armando is there at the center, and if Armando could hop on the camera, we have a question directly for Armando. And if Armando is available, we'd love to see him because there's a question here. It's actually from Urs. How's he doing with his studies? And I would add to that, Armando, how are things going for you in general? Any news to share with everybody? What's going on in your life?
Could you repeat the question, please, Daron, for Armando?
Sí. ¿Qué pasó en su vida? ¿Qué trabajo? What kind of work are you doing? How are your studies? Urs wanted to know about your medical studies. What are you doing currently? A lot of people on the call know you. And so if you could just give us a little update on Armando, that would be great.
Hey, that's a different Armando, by the way, but we still want to hear from this one.
God, yes. Sorry about that.
¿Sobre qué pasa?
¿Qué pasó con usted?
Okay.
¿Qué pasó contigo?
Bueno, pues finalicé mis estudios en un técnico superior. Mi carrera es diseño de producto.
I just finished my career in a superior technical on design.
Sí, tengo la meta de seguir estudiando marketing y administración de empresas.
I am this goal of keep studying and in marketing and business administration.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Armando.
Marcia,
it's nice to see you.
Can you answer the question for Urs about
Yes,
Armando?
how is Jose Armando doing with his medical studies?
He's great. He's great. He's spending time in the hospital already. Right now, he is getting into the third year of university. So maybe you can come back and see again because he's doing really great.
Wonderful.
And just so everybody knows, Urs is actually part of education, equal education from Switzerland, and they've been a huge component for our organization financially. They've been with us for many years and have been contributing about 20% of our program.
Thank you, Urs. I've got one more question from Susan here in California. Yes, and Darlene says, I know that, Armando, and so does Cheryl, my wife, so it was nice to see him. Talk about how your team is working in the field of health, because I know that both physical and psychological health is part of what you do. Marcia, can you talk a little bit about how you're helping with the health needs of your community?
This is a huge effort we're doing right now because our health program has grown up a lot since the last year. We now have specific consultants like diabetes and all this kind of sickness that are hitting really bad our parents. We have psychological consultancies every week. We receive about 20 people between children and parents in the center to psychological consultancy. And we have this support with medication, which is really important because sometimes they can attend to the hospital, but they don't have the money to buy all the treatment they need to treat their sickness. Another thing that we have been working on, it's classes. It's optometrist help, because we found that many of our children did have this problem, and they couldn't do it good in classes because they couldn't see. It was a fact. So we began with this, and we have a specific support, and 3 times in the year we have medical brigades. This is really important because this is a huge effort our health coordinator, auxiliadora, has made through the years. So for example, we can treat around 200 to 250 people during a brigade. So it's really important, and with medication again. We have several arrangements with other organizations so they can have x-rays, a specific tests, so they can have a full package of medical treatment.
Thank you so much. That's a great answer. I think it points also once again to the fact that Empowerment International, although education is a primary focus, it really takes a whole body, whole family, whole village, whole community approach. The home visits, the tutoring of the older kids with the younger kids, the healthcare, the glasses. Sometimes it's something so simple as just enabling a kid to see so that that kid can succeed in school. And to take some of these kids and give them the opportunity so people like Abby and Jocelyn can go on to become nurses and optometrists and professionals, they're going to lift their whole community up with them. And that's going to be a long-term change. And I promise you, if you go visit now and then go visit 10 years down the road, there will be continued improvements with all of our support. We're going to end with a big group shout out from the center at Empowerment International. I think we've answered most of the questions. Before we go back down to Nicaragua, Kathy, is there anything that you would like to say in conclusion before we do our final goodbye?
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you everybody for coming. I'm really excited to see how well this has been turning out and how many people have showed up. And I want to thank you for believing in this work and believing in these kids. And I hope to see more of you joining part of this community that may not be part of it. So thanks again, and I hope you'll spread the word. And we will send out, if there's any questions that were not answered, hopefully we'll be able to copy these, and we will email out answers to all the questions as well as part of the follow-up. Thanks again, and I'll leave it back to everybody.
Thank you, Kathy. And I want to thank you and Doug and all of the sponsors who are on the call. Charlie, thank you, Laura and Susan and everyone else who joined today. Before you all leave, we're going to kick it back to the center in Granada, Nicaragua for a final goodbye. There they are. Gracias. Qué bueno. Te amo todo. Bye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone in Nicaragua. Hey.
Hey, gracias.